So this video is to show the different ways that we can divide fractions. So we're going to go through 5 different methods, one at a time, but all with the same problem. And the problem is 3 divided by a half, which in a sense is just asking how many times does a half go into 3. So we start by showing how many times using a picture. So we start with 3 wholes broken up into halves, trying to figure out how many times a half goes into 3. And so we just start counting them, and we say, oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 divided by a half. How many times a half goes into 3? How many halves are there in 3? Answer, 6. So now we're going to do the same thing, but looking at it on a ruler. So that instead of holes being rectangles, now holes are a length. And so this whole length 3 broken up into halves, and how many halves are there altogether in 3? Again, we start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so 3 divided by a half, again, is 6. This time we're going to use repeated subtraction to see how many halves there are in 3. So we start to subtract, and we go, well, 3 minus a half, that's 2.5. 2.5 minus a half, that's 2. 2 minus a half is 1.5. 1.5 minus a half is 1. 1 minus a half is a half. And finally, a half minus a half is 0. So altogether, how many halves did we take away? The number of halves we took away is the number of halves there are total in 3. So we start counting again, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 divided by a half is 6. Next, we have the common denominator method. And this is starting with 3 divided by a half and getting a common denominator. So at first 3 doesn't even have a denominator, so you write it as 3 over 1. Then you just go, okay, to get a denominator 2, just multiply top and bottom by 2. So I get 6 halves divided by 1 half. And how many times 1 half goes into 6 halves is equivalent to how many times 1 goes into 6. And so that's just 6 divided by 1, which is 6. Finally, the most common method to use is multiplying by the reciprocal. So 3 divided by a half is equal to 3 times the reciprocal of a half. And a reciprocal just means flip the fraction over. So 1 half flipped over is 2 over 1, but that's just 2. And 3 times 2 is 6.